This week on WestfordCAT News, the school committee adopts the hybrid plan for reopening schools. Selectmen grapple with how to assemble a diversity committee.
How is this assessment going to be done without the virtue of professionals?
Police supporters and Black Lives Matter protesters rally on the same evening. The class of 2020 finally has its graduation ceremony. Stay tuned. WestfordCAT News is next. The school committee voted to accept Superintendent Bill Olson's recommendation to go with a hybrid model for schools reopening this fall as the COVID-19 virus continues to impact lives. The vote got 4 ayes, with Alicia Mallon, Ming-Chen Zhang, and Valerie Young abstaining.
I would suggest, and committee tell me if this makes sense, that the appropriate way to approach this vote is to take the recommendation that has been provided to us, and take a vote up or down on that recommendation. And I understand that different people have different concerns, but I think that's the primary question before us. And I think the task that we've really been asked for by administration is given the plan that is put before us, and we have asked them to re-examine it and reconsider it, and they are continuing with the initial recommendation, which is the half-day early release, pod A, pod B, alternating week plan. I just want to make sure we're all clear that that's the hybrid model we are voting for, accompanied by the alternative remote learning academy for any student who elects it for any reason at their option.
After the measure passed, school committee chair Gloria Miller proposed a resolution in support of reopening recommendations. Miller said she and Mallon had prepared a document in anticipation of the vote outcome. The vote to accept the resolution was 6-1, with Avery Adam abstaining.
I like the idea, but I'm going to abstain because I don't think we need a resolution to tell the administration how to do things.
Watch the entire school committee meeting on demand at westfordcat.org. On August 9th, Black Lives Matter protesters were holding signs at the Common, while half a mile away, another group of people were expressing support for local police. The Back the Blue supporters had planned an event first, but when the BLM demonstrators learned about it, they made plans to protest at the same Boston Road location using signs to tell their story. Organizer Unity Bott told WestfordCAT News that she had received threats, so her group of 20 stayed in the Common, where she said they'd be safer. The demonstrators called out the names of Black victims. Sitting on a nearby bench in the town common were 3 people holding signs that said, "We back our blue." Only one of the 3 identified himself, saying his name was Jim. Neither Jim nor his companions were from Westford, they said.
No, I just prefer not to give my last name because there's pretty much violence on some of these rallies, and they dox people, and then they raise Cain with your property and other things, so it's just not worth going there.
Oh, so they dox people means what?
They find their address, where they live, where they work, and then they target them.
Oh my, okay.
So it's a little bit fascist, I'd say. Consider they're anti-fascists.
And what is your position, Jim, on this whole matter?
My position is I support the police. Yes, there's some bad police, but overall they protect us from some of the worst elements of society, and I think they're an important part of our society.
And so do you go to other towns and do this? Make this quiet statement?
On occasion, yes.
Is there anything else you would like to say, want the residents of this town to know?
I just think it's important for the community to support the police. I think the police is an important part of the community. If you didn't have the police, there'd be anarchy, quite frankly. They help protect property, they protect people. And yes, sometimes some police do not do the right thing, but that's a vast minority compared to the majority of the police in this country.
Westford Academy alumnus Paul Perrone was there.
There was a Back the Blue protest earlier today in Westford, so this is a counter-protest. We believe that Black Lives Matter and that Back the Blue is an inherently racist movement that is anti-Black and anti-democracy, anti-freedom, and we're anti-racist.
So, were you at the other rally?
No, the students who organized this protest received threats, and it was deemed unsafe for us to go to the Back the Blue rally to counter-protest there. So we decided to congregate on the common where we thought it would be a safer place for us to have our protest.
And you were threatened in what way?
I was not threatened personally. The students who organized this protest were threatened. I'm not sure exactly what extent those threats took, but they were many, and they were mostly done against these young students by adults in the community.
Did you grow up in Westford?
I did.
And are you an alumnus of Westford Academy?
Yes, I graduated class of 2011.
Read Joyce Polino Crane's article on what took place by visiting WestfordCatNews.org. 429 Westford Academy students dressed in maroon robes and mortarboards finally got their outdoor ceremony on August 7th at Trustees Field. Caught in the pandemic virus that has forced many societal changes, the graduates gave up a lot this school year, from an elegant prom in Boston to a class trip to Disney World. But the graduation ceremony was smooth and organized. Presiding was Westford Academy Principal James Antonelli.
Class of 2020. You have endured so much. You have kept your head held high, and you have persevered together. We are here today because of you, because you have earned the right to have this moment. Time to shine, a time to celebrate your accomplishments. And remember, in dealing with adversity, perhaps one of the most important positive affirmations you can remember is this: this too shall pass. Whatever it is, how difficult it may appear, say to yourself, this too shall pass.
Subconsciously teaching us of ethics and morals and love and loss and triumph and sorrow. Well, the whole time we just thought we were learning how to set up 3 body paragraphs and an intro with a catchy hook. Unaware that foreign language was exposing us to new cultures and frames of thought, we painstakingly worked to conjugate verbs and crossed our fingers that we chose the right accent mark to go above the E. Although it was never a secret that each of our theater arts lessons were taught solely for the purpose of teaching us how to be good Greeks, we know that without the long lectures, we may never have learned that life is about the process, not the product.
2 of you will be participating in our armed forces, preserving and protecting our freedoms. And I'd like to ask 2 individuals to stand as I recognize you and mention your name. Joel Diaquino, who will be entering the National Guard, and Kenneth West, who will be entering the United States Marine Corps. Would you stand for a minute, please?
Believe in yourself. We don't need hand-holding anymore. We are capable of more than we even know. And it's okay to risk getting it wrong before you succeed. As Eleanor Roosevelt said, learn from the mistakes of others because you can't possibly live long enough to make them all yourself.
To watch the entire graduation ceremony, visit WestfordCAT.org. And to purchase a DVD of the event, contact Sarah Fletcher at sfletcher@westfordcat.org. Select board members struggled with how to begin assembling the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee on August 11th. Members Tom Clay and Anita Tanakar Nguyen are spearheading the project, accelerated after anti-Semitic images were spray painted on road signs and private residences on Lakeside Terrace, Russell's Way, and Pine Ridge Road, among others. But not everyone could see the path clearly.
I have a few comments here as well. So there's a part here that talks about conducting an assessment. So really two questions there. How is this assessment going to be done without the virtue of professionals? So what are the criteria that we're going to be doing an assessment on? And I certainly hope that whoever's doing the assessment has some background in how to do this. And if it's a professional that we want to hire, I think we need to understand where the funds are coming from to do it. And then the second point is who's being assessed? So are we assessing town employees? Are we assessing school employees? Are we assessing boards and committees? Are we assessing the 23,000 residents in town?
Clay and Tanakar Nguyen have spoken with leaders from other towns to see how they created a committee. The list includes Lexington, Westboro, North Andover, Somerville, and Worcester. Clay recommended the board agree on the questions they would ask of each applicant, raising a concern for Select Board member Scott Hazelton.
The end goal is not an assessment. The end goal is action based upon that assessment.
I think that's true. And I do think, Scott, that this is an evolving sort of, or will be an evolving committee. And whether it's, this committee that, goes through the first step of assessment and makes recommendations to the select board and the school committee. And then there's a subsequent committee or the same committee that, its next steps are, how to, implementation or, outreach with respect to the recommendations and how they're going to be received. So I don't think, we're not going to, sort of capture it, I think, all at once. Mm-hmm. And so I see this as, sort of ongoing.
Board members will continue their decision on August 25th. To watch the entire board meeting, visit WestfordCAT.org, and to read an article about the board discussion by Joyce Polino Crane, visit WestfordCatNews.org. J.V. Fletcher Library Director Ellen Rainville spoke with WestfordCAT on August 12th to give an update on events happening at the library, including plans to finally take down the hollow champion oak tree that sits between the library and First Parish Church. In September, an arborist discovered that the tree was diseased and decaying, and the town decided to remove the tree for safety's sake. Here is Rainville explaining why the old oak has had almost a full year's reprieve.
Yeah, this is very poignant. The oak has stayed, almost had 1 year's reprieve, and we're thrilled for that. We had a very overextended tree service that contracted with the town, but now we expect the tree to come down around the 19th. Either wind or rain can make a change in that schedule. We did take the opportunity to have the tree disease specialist from the UMass Extension Service come and do yet one more test on the champion oak. And so the findings, for this tree will go into a study of all the diseased and decayed trees in the Commonwealth. So we are thrilled that it could give that one last gift. And yes, we will be saving parts of it. Yes, we will have some kind of souvenirs or a fundraiser from it. Those will be completely dependent on the quality of the wood or the branches or what we can keep. And we do hope, to leave a fairly high amount of the hollow stump. And, potentially this will be a reading bench or something in the future, and we can have outdoor events out where the tree was.
Rainville also discussed the soft reopening of the library with safety guidelines in place, as well as the finale to the summer reading program. They also have curbside pickup, outdoor browsing for children, and plenty of virtual options. Watch my entire interview with Ellen Rainville at westfordcat.org. I'm Patty Stalker, and you're watching WestfordCAT News.